So let's start about demographics. That was the first topic you brought into the discussion. So Pakistan has a big population, 240 million people, and as you mentioned that in the next, by end of the decade, we are going to be close to 480 million. Our population will double in the next 70, 75 years. And it's a young population. Uh, 54% of the population at the moment is under 25 years of age. Even if you look at the next 15, 20 years, still 50% of the population will be under 25. So, Zafar, coming to you, certainly it can be a demographic dividend or it can be a liability. And in terms of our spending on education, we are spending less than 2% of our GDP on education. A lot of students, a lot of children are out of school. How do we develop the capacity and the infrastructure? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Shoaib. It is a scary situation, and thank you for shaking us up on these issues, Dr. Saab. These are very genuine problems. But I think somehow we tend to ignore them and look the other way, thinking that a miracle would happen and things will change. It won't change. We have to take them head on and get them sorted out. To my mind, Shoaib, we're going through the first economic world war. I've said it many times in my various talks and articles. This is the first economic world war. And जिस तरह डॉक्टर साहब फरमा रहे थे कि after the two world wars, the entire there has been a shift in how the business was done before and after that. Just to share with you, in Western Europe, the spending towards the social sector was merely 10% of the total GDP then. And out of that, the education was merely 0.5%. So pension, health, education, all put together was 10%. Major investment at that time were diverted towards the defense side. Post-World War, and that's 40 years down, and I'm talking about this number 2019, 10, 20, and then 40, 50 years later, after the World War, that number changed to 40% because the realities change on the ground. People realize that spending on defense anymore is something which is not as beneficial in protecting their boundaries than investing in people. And out of that 40%, the education piece went as high as 10%. So there is a stated, tried and tested formula, and I draw the analogy of those world wars with this first economic world war. The shift tend to happen. We have to invest in our people. We've been talking about it as well, but there has been not much action. There is a lot of criticism that perhaps the funding that we have committed on the education side is not adequate. I don't think that's merely the case. Although India is around 40%, 4% of the GDP, we are at 2%. Perhaps we need to at least get to 2%. But when you put the subas together, the percentage is much higher. It's the wastage, it's the quality, which is more important than anything else. It's the development of skills, which is key. And then on top of that, while the rest of the world will be looking towards opening up the immigration, it seems like that Pakistan seems to be losing out on that front too. And our dearest partners in Middle East also have kind of closed the doors on us. It's a very, very scary development. We need to focus on the basic education where the basic skills could be provided. Skills is the name of the game. In my very humble opinion, this is what we need to focus on. मैं इत्तेफाक से अभी lately बांग्लादेश तो हम सभी देख ही रहे हैं बड़ा closely, but for some other conference I was looking at Sri Lanka very closely too. And the similarities that I kind of saw there was the fact that both of them are very well educated, but perhaps on the skill side, they were not as well trained. So the frustration was much higher. In case of Pakistan, जो हमारा level of education 58% हम claim करते हैं वो भी doubt है. दूसरी countries तो 90% से ऊपर है. We are perhaps not seeing this kind of this thing, a backlash, because people, they're not aware of the seriousness of the issues and the matters. And perhaps the skill piece is saving the day for them. So that's very important aspect. The other one that you talked about on the education spending पे, तो ये मैं आपको बता दूं कि we are not the only one. इस वक्त situation ये है कि on the social, and this has to change and shift. और वो बिल्कुल different discussion है. We'll talk about it in a bit later अगर time हुआ तो, या अगर आपने सवाल पूछा तो. इस वक्त 50% के करीब पॉपुलेशन, 3.3 बिलियन लोग जिन मुल्कों में रह रहे हैं, वहाँ पर spending on social sector is less than the debt servicing. Now this is not a sustainable model. अगर वो World War I और World War II से पहले वो डिफेंस पे बहुत ज़्यादा स्पेंड हो रहा था, तो अब वो डेट सर्विसिंग पे हो रहा है. एंड दैट शिफ्ट इन द डेट सर्विसिंग इज़ वेरी नेसेसरी टू प्रिवेंट द लीवे whether we want to spend that on education per se directly. बिल्कुल सही डॉक्टर साहब ने फरमाया, बहुत अच्छी डायमेंशन दी कि हमारा फोकस कम्प्लीटली एकेडमिक्स क्रिएट करने पे है, जबकि स्किल इज़ द की. एंड क्या हमने वहाँ पर स्पेंड करना है? दैट्स वाई जो स्पेंडिंग वी नीड टू स्पेंड स्मार्टली नाउ. Constraint will be there and is always there. We are not the only country which is facing this constraint, but the others are spending it much smartly than us.
Thank you, Zafar. So moving on to the geopolitics, and we are seeing what is happening globally: Ukraine-Russia war, Israel-Palestinian conflict, Iran-Israel, Taiwan-US-China relationships, Pakistan-India relationship. You just talked about Bangladesh, what we have seen in Bangladesh recently. So I would like to pick your brain on, do we see any opportunities for Pakistan in this global fiasco?
Overall, there has been a shift because of China-America conflict of trade. And, Vietnam seems to be the biggest beneficiary of it. Yeah. Their GDP got the benefit of 7.9% just because of the shift of demand for electrical appliances from China to Vietnam. We've seen the benefit of that going to Malaysia, South Korea, Mexico for automobiles, South Korea and Malaysia on semiconductor and electronics. So you see...
Sorry to interrupt here, but given that what you mentioned, so many countries have benefited out of this conflict between China and US, and Pakistan is one of the biggest allies of China. So where do we stand?
Yeah, no, that's a very good dimension. But to be honest with you, it's one of the biggest challenge that we have had with China was the lopsided free trade agreement. We import something like 19.8 billion rupees from them, and we export them around 1.9 billion. The equation needs to be changed. So while there is an opportunity that we can move towards cheaper imports from them, for frankly speaking, I don't see China adding too much value in our requirements of imports as such. On the export side, unfortunately, we are not as well prepared for the world. India has already taken the advantage on IT, pharmaceuticals, and textiles, by the way, with this diversion. I think the biggest opportunity for us is pretty similar to where India has capitalized on. I don't see China being, much of an help for us. But if we have good relationship with the West, then perhaps we have an opportunity. It's a conundrum that we are stuck in. Look, China is stuck with its own set of very serious problems and issues. On both diplomatic side, their own internal problems, and also on the economic side. 65 countries which are under debt stress, China has the single large exposure of over 10% external debt with them. 18 restructurings have been done in the last 3 years. 10 countries, majority is China centric. Sri Lanka, by the way, again the crisis started from the China situation. We need to tread very carefully on this whole equation and make sure that our interests are protected. डॉक्टर साहब ने भी बात की अमेरिका की, अमेरिका ने तो हमेशा यही किया है, कोई नई बात नहीं है, प्रोटेक्शनिस्ट अभी हो गए। बात आप करते हैं वो बड़ी खूबसूरत बात है कि कैपिटलिज्म विदाउट फेलियर इज अ रिलीजन विदाउट सिन। तो वो तो उन्होंने बैंकों को तो बैठने ही नहीं दिया, ना एयरलाइंस को बैठने दिया, ना इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज को बैठने दिया, हर जगह तो जाके पैसे डाल देते हैं। हमारे लिए एक बिल्कुल सेट डिफरेंस है, बट ये हमारा कसूर है। वी नीड टू डिवाइज आवर ओन स्ट्रैटेजी एंड फिगर आउट व्हाट इज सूटेबल फॉर अस and then devise our foreign policy accordingly.
Zafar Sahab, we talked about US elections, Democrats versus Republicans. So, and a scenario was shared by Dr. Salman as to about the difference in policy. So, how do you think Pakistan will be impacted by who comes to the White House?
The modus operandi of both, by the principles are perhaps the same, but the modus operandi of both the parties are very different. One is more economically driven and try and pull the strings economically. The other is more, at least, although it has changed in Biden's time a bit, we haven't seen that kind of aggression. It's been a proxy war pretty much. Yeah. Then they coming in front and fighting, both in the case of Ukraine as well as in the Gaza conflict. In that situation, I think if I don't see much shift in Pakistan's situation. Frankly speaking, Pakistan no longer is not that important for them because of their own shift in policies. China is dealing with their own set of problems, so no longer Pakistan is something that they need to worry about. Yes, Pakistan perhaps they would like to keep it afloat. But beyond that, I don't think there will be any shift, whoever comes into power. We have some serious, significant issues at hand. CPAC, we are the single largest beneficiary of BRI. And 40% of the BRI projects are all in trouble, one way or the other. 40 or 60% of that number. So there is a problem at hand that we need to deal with China. While on the US, interest is kind of eroded, but we need to get them engaged in our affairs to some extent, because our dependence on IMF and other multilaterals will remain largely dependent. And because of that, I think it's important that we keep ourselves on the right side of US, whether we like it or not.
I just want to move on to the next topic, which is the climate change. And in terms of climate change, Dr. Salman presented a very scary picture that Pakistan may have a huge impact. Then there's a 50% probability that the impact may be very high. So what do you think needs to be done? What are we lacking in this?
Shoaib, on the climate side, मेरे ख्याल से तो it's a lost opportunity for us. दुनिया में इस वक्त जो फंडिंग अवेलेबल है, एंड डॉक्टर सलमान विल बेयर मी ऑन दिस, जो डाइवर्जन हमारे पास आनी चाहिए थी, वी हैव नॉट बीन एबल टू हार्नेस दैट. जो स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट है उसके अंदर, एंड थैंक गॉड उस पर थोड़ा काम शुरू हो गया, इज द टेक्सोनॉमी. इट्स ऑल ओवर डिसजॉइंटेड है. वो हमें एक जगह पे प्रोजेक्ट को सबको डालना है ताकि एक रिपोजिटरी में वो आ जाए, एंड देन वी कैन टैप फंडिंग अगेंस्ट दैट. That whole piece, unfortunately, we are not working in tandem with each other. Sube are working in their own lines. In the federal government also, there are 3 agencies which are differently working on it. Well, in fact 4. And they all have to come together and work together to create some kind of taxonomy for it.